Hello, IoTeX community. How's everyone doing? We got Larry here, and we're really excited to bring another IoTeX ecosystem spotlight with some of the builders that are building innovative machine PHY use cases and other on top of the IoTeX platform. Again, my name is Larry, head of business development here at IoTeX, and we got a really great agenda for you guys today. Really excited to introduce some new projects like Elumicate and some returning projects that have some new rebrands. SumoTex, HealthBlocks, and MOBI as well. So we're going to get right started with our guests in just a minute, but I wanted to share with a little bit about what's going on in the IoTeX ecosystem as well. Before we get there, you see a lot of people dropping in where they're tuning in from. Hello, Singapore. Hello, Belgium and the Netherlands. We got the Philippines in the house, Taiwan, Romania. We got some USA folks, San Diego, California, Malaysia, Canada, and yes, Jack, you put it nicely. IoTeX is a nice big global family, so we're really excited to have a diverse group of attendees and also a diverse group of presenters today. A lot of things have been going on in the IoTeX ecosystem as of late. Of course, the market has been taking a little turn, but that doesn't stop the building here at IoTeX. It almost makes it a little bit more focused, to be honest. But hope everyone is doing okay through the downturn. I'm sure the market will be back. But one of the big news that we've accomplished just very, very recently was the activation of mainnet version 1.8. And this is our second major code release of 2022. And this one comes with a lot of great features from the security and the performance side, but also allows users to stake via MetaMask. Before it was only with IoPay Desktop or IoPay Mobile, but now we're allowing people to use not just MetaMask, but any Ethereum compatible wallet to stake their IoTeX tokens. So definitely give that a try. Mainnet 1.8 was actually activated earlier this week. So we're really excited. Thanks to our delegates for the timely updates. And we're already planning for mainnet version 1.9 very, very soon. In addition to the blockchain itself, we made a lot of great updates to the tooling around the IoTeX ecosystem, most notably with IoPay 2.0. Your favorite crypto wallet just got even better with multi-chain functionality. You can access your wallets on IoTeX, Ethereum, Polygon, BSC, and many more chains coming very soon. And if you haven't given it a try yet, what are you waiting for? It's really a fantastic wallet, and we've gotten really great feedback on it. And just like the blockchain from now on, IoPay 2.1 is coming very soon with even more features. And we're really listening to the feedback from the community around how to make IoPay even better. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely check out IoPay 2.0 and get staking and access some of the great dApps you're going to be hearing about during this live stream today. Another important tool that we've been upgrading is called IoTube. IoTube is our cross-chain bridge. And as you can see on our IoTeX community forum post, IoTube is now live on testnet. The big difference about IoTube v6 compared to other versions of IoTube is this version of IoTube v6 aggregates stablecoin liquidity. So in the past, when we had USDT bridged from multiple blockchains like Polygon or Ethereum, they all had their unique tickers, like USDT underscore M for Polygon, or IOUSDT, which means USDT coming from Ethereum. But with IoTube v6, we're allowing all of these different types of stablecoins to be aggregated together as one stablecoin called CUSDT, cross-chain USDT. So this is going to allow people to, aggregate the liquidity, not spend, not waste the slippage on the DEX to transfer stablecoin to stablecoin. So we're really excited to get this on the mainnet later this week and get you guys using this brand new version of IoTube v6. So stay tuned for more about that. In addition to the tech side, we've really been focusing on spreading the word, spreading the gospel of machine PHY. We've been out on the road. Here is Simone at ETH Amsterdam at a great panel with other layer ones. We also were attending some IoT focused conferences. Here's the team out in Barcelona at the IoT Solutions World Congress, where we're showcasing Pebble Tracker to more of an enterprise audience. We got all Ollie, Dan, Simone, and myself. I don't have the mint green sweater, but I'll wear it next time. This was a really great experience to bring Web3 into the traditional world, and a lot of great contacts we made out there. And finally, we've also been very busy on the virtual event side of things. So here's one really amazing fireside chat that Rowland, our CEO and co-founder, did with Richard Widman, the head of digital assets strategy at Google. So we've been invited by Google Cloud to be the only blockchain company to present at their Born Digital Summit. So if you haven't checked out this amazing fireside chat with Rowland and Richard from Google, definitely check it out. You can find it on our YouTube or find it on our Twitter feed. Um, and finally, we've been making a lot of progress on the builder side of things, not only welcoming new projects, but also investing in different projects through our ecosystem fund. If you guys haven't heard about the news, about a couple months ago, we announced a brand new $100 million sustainable ecosystem fund to back some of the builders and the innovators that are not only building MachineFi, but what we believe to be the future of Web3. So tons of amazing updates across the IoTeX ecosystem and much more to come. We have a very exciting summer planned. You can think about it almost as MachineFi summer. We have a whole agenda of great launches and pretty big announcements that we've been cooking in the back. So some of these announcements you're going to get as early as next week. And throughout the summer, we have a nice, sequenced plan to bring IoTeX to the masses even more. But going back to the purpose of today, we're here to meet some of the builders and the innovators in the IoTeX ecosystem. And the first project we're going to welcome is Elumicate, recipient of an IoTeX Halo grant very recently, and working on a very cool MachineFi use case about outdoor events capture. But I'm not going to spoil the fun. I'm going to bring on our friend Jason to share more about Elumicate. Hey, Jason, how's it going?
Larry, it's going great. Thank you. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me on board.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited. I'm personally very excited to showcase Elumicate because I think it's a demonstration of one of the MachineFi concept in the real world, taking a very unique way to use outdoor video cameras and also LiDAR sensors to create a publicly owned and user contributed data network, right? But please, from your own words, share a little bit about yourself and also a little bit about Lumikate, how you guys all got started.
Absolutely. First off, congrats on the the mainnet 1.8 launch and IOPay. You guys are always doing, innovating with what the market needs, which is something that really impresses me with IoTeX. So we're obviously excited to be part of the IoTeX team here. But my name is Jason Bernard, CEO with Lumikate. I guess my background would be tech and business focused. Definitely have a passion when it comes to problem solving, which is why I love the startup space. Kind of finding the product market fit. Startups always have a lot of moving parts, which I love. What brought me to Elumicate, is my neighbor is actually one of the original investors, and he introduced me last year to the group at Elumicate. And I mean, I was just completely impressed with what they had built, which essentially their focus was on marketers, digital billboards. So they built a device that basically tracks anything and everything. You put it on the billboard, it's tracking traffic, it's tracking the make and model of the cars, gender, age, kind of whatever you can think of. If your eyes can see it, you can make it out, the product can do it. So I was just completely impressed with, they're using artificial intelligence, machine learning, just all these things, and the product is great. So when I came in with the kind of startup mentality, what I really wanted to prove was, what problem are we solving and for who? Because obviously the device can do something great. And there's, by talking to the billboard providers and everything, they're fully saying that, yeah, this is something we could do, but is it something they need? Is it a problem they have, or is it just a cool feature that we're getting putting out there, right? So that was
Yeah.
kind of the job right from the start when I joined the team at the end of last year was, let's figure this out. What problem are we solving, and for who?
Hmm.
So we spoke to billboard operators, to marketing companies, to city councilors, firefighters, government officials, tourism officials, a wide gamut of different industries that we spoke to kind of go, are we solving a problem with the device that we built? And what we kind of learned from that was not really.
Mm.
Not just the one industry, but many industries all have a problem of they need data, they want data, they want what's
Hmm.
out there in terms of traffic count, in terms of accident detection, whatever we're talking about. They all want access to the data. Nobody wants to be part of owning the network, owning these devices, the headache of the infrastructure, setting everything up. So they're not interested
Hmm.
in that. If they have to do it, they will. But what we saw was what we've created, or what the team before me had created, which again, great
Hmm.
product. It was something that was kind of adding a headache to the customers. It's like, here's
Hmm.
the product, so now you guys can take the data and figure something out. So we just kind of went back to the basics, right? What we need is the infrastructure. We need a network out there that will just deliver this to all of the players that want the data. So when
Hmm.
we went back to pretty well everybody we talked to and said, look, what if we could just get you the data? Is that worth something to you? Is that something you want? And they're all just kind of going,
Hmm.
yes, that's exactly what we want. Please do it. So now we're going, okay, how
Hmm.
do we build this network, this infrastructure? And then, of course, the answer becomes obvious when you look at Web3, um,
Hmm.
where you have just this network of people that want to own, to be part of the network. If
Right.
you're looking at kind of what this network entails, it's pretty significant. The power of a network like this. I mean, you're talking about having
Hmm.
eyes on the ground worldwide.
Right.
So, what can you do with that, right? You're looking at um, firearm detection, accident detection, facial recognition. You know, there's metaverse syncing with the metaverse. For retail point of sale systems, just syncing with that, seeing how many people are walking in front of the store versus how many are actually coming in and buying stuff. There's
Hmm.
really a lot that can be done here. And there's also kind of a fear out there where people are going, really? Cameras tracking everything? That scares me.
Hmm.
Reality is that's where the future is going, kind of no matter what. What we're talking about is this something that's kind of owned by the Web3 community, where they get to decide on what is being
Hmm.
tracked? If they don't want facial recognition, they vote on it. It's, we're starting with traffic because it's
Yeah.
simple. We have a use case. We have a lot of people that want that data, um, but it's by far not all we can do. We can do a lot more than that, but we want the community to
Yeah.
decide on that. We want the public to be able to have the vote. If it wasn't for us building this out and the community getting involved, who ends up owning it? Governments, larger organizations, where it's to their benefit, not to the public's, right?
Yeah. The mining is definitely happening regardless, right? In the historical, legacy model. But I like the way you put it here, right? It's a new way to mine. Incentivizing users to connect their home security cameras, IP cameras, and eventually the Elumicate lidar gateway, which looks something like this, right? It's like one of those. It looks like one of those set-top boxes or gateway kind of modules, but using these machines to detect outdoor events, whether it's how many people walk by, how many bikes have driven by, how many cars have gone by at any point in time. And like you said, that data has value, right? Maybe share a little bit about the demand side for this data, right? You can think about like some delivery companies, some smart city builders, first responders all want this kind of information, real estate developers. But, tell us a little bit more about these people that desire this kind of user generated data.
Yeah, I mean, there's existing there's existing ecosystems. There's huge companies or organizations that are profiting largely on the data that's being provided today, which is inaccurate, not real time. It's based on sample sizes. So there's already a complete ecosystem and a lot of money going through this by players purchasing data that's, and everybody we talk to, they know they are paying for it. They're buying this data already, and they know that it's dirty data, but they don't have any alternatives. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about law enforcement, we're talking about marketing companies, we're talking about cities, governments, restaurants, retailers. I guess the restaurants and retailers kind of more of a, actually, no, they're kind of paying for it too. Developers, landlords, even small businesses, right? When you're starting a small business, you really need to know what's going on in your location, how much traffic is going in front of your store. What we're talking about here is actually going not only going real time and very specific, but we're also going granular, like how many Honda Civics are going through this area. If your target market is of a certain kind of class, then you can go, okay, this street actually has this, this many higher end models of vehicles. This is where I need to set up my business.
Right. Yeah, it's a great way. Yeah, there's so much flexibility because, like, sensors, cameras as a sensor. Cameras are one of the richest types of sensors out there, right? Not only can it, overlay, AI and machine learning on top of it to do different types of object detection, but we're talking about very hyper localized insights. When I think about you guys, I think a lot about like weather networks, weather data networks as well, right? You can go to like the AccuWeathers or the weather channels and get the top down perspectives. But if you really want the hyper localized, like on a specific street corner, what is the weather there? It's very similar to what you guys are trying to do with the event capture, right? You can have a top down bird's eye view of a city and understand, okay, there's this many people, there's an average of this many cars in this city. But if you want to get down to a street level or even like an address level, then having a user-owned camera with object detection that's understanding, okay, this many cars, even the many type of cars, as you said, the Honda Civics versus the Mercedes-Benz versus the Ubers, right? Really paints a good idea of like, it's one data point that really paints a picture of like what's going on in the real world. And users can be incentivized to do that, right? It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly to that. I mean, there's things like what happens when you open a Costco in the city, right? So we can actually go, when a Costco opens, this entire change is going to happen in the city, and we can predict that. So we're not only talking about past behavior and what is happening currently, we're also talking about predictive behavior. So knowing what's going to happen when this intersection changes into a traffic circle, or when Costco actually opens up a new branch, or McDonald's opens up, or anything like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting. Tell us a little bit more about how this network is going to be kind of set up. You have a great blog on Elumicate.com that kind of talks about the 3-phase roadmap, right? Kind of going from mining public data feeds to encouraging people to hook up their own security cameras to phase 3 is kind of using these LiDAR gateways to have even more a rich picture of the environment. But talk us through a little bit about the roadmap and where you guys are headed next with Lumikate.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now what we're building is phase 1, we're calling it. So phase 1 consists of mining existing cameras that are already out there, public feeds. And because, I mean, this data is all very worthwhile to us, no matter what, whether it's individuals setting up a camera or if their camera's already there, we're happy mining what's already there. So the cameras that are already there will be mineable through computers. We're probably also going to expand that to Raspberry Pi devices like that. But to start, it's going to be a computer. You download the software, load it up, connect to our app and wallet, and start mining. This is going to be extremely straightforward and simple. This phase is actually kind of a limited participation. So there's only going to be so many seats available in this phase because there's only so many cameras set up worldwide. So this phase will be limited to how many people can participate. So because of that, we obviously recommend that people get on our wait list as soon as possible. But phase 2 will actually allow people to start mining with their own cameras. So they can set up any IP camera, point it just out their window to any traffic source. We're talking pedestrian traffic or vehicular traffic, and they'll start mining. Also, it's going to be a very simple setup. So one, they need a camera. Two, they need their computer. So the computer end will be pretty well the same as the first phase. They just have to add on that camera.
Yeah.
And then phase 3 is, like you said, that's the phase where it's just an all-in-one device. You can just easily set it up, point it to a traffic source, connect it, you're done. So really what we're focused on just is making everything as simple and easy as possible for all participants, where, grandma can start mining, right? If we're talking about mining, so we're mining tokens, and the tokens that people are going to be mining have a real utility. In our case, it's actually to access the data that's been accumulated. So in order to get access to that data, the token needs to be converted into data credits, making the token worth as much as the data, right? So yeah, I mean, that's the value of being part of the ecosystem is, one, you're actually going to be part of the network. You're going to vote on the network. You're going to decide what is allowed through the network. If you don't want facial recognition, you speak up. And two is to get the tokens, right?
Yeah. It really fits a framework of like, we've been talking to so many MachineFi companies, had the pleasure of talking to people in a lot of different verticals, and we're starting to understand what a good MachineFi use case looks like, right? One of the models, which is more like X to earn, is interesting, where you're using devices to prove facts about a business or a person, and you tie token incentives to it. But this kind of fits into a different model. This is kind of like the data pool model, right? Where, the things that are important for this model is it should be consumer facing, right? B to B to C. Consumers own and install these devices and contribute the utility of the device to the network. The other thing that's very important is kind of the enterprise demand for the utility that's being created by these user-owned network. And finally, the last important piece is kind of like the network effects. The more devices you have in the network, the utility of the data that's produced by the network doesn't grow linearly with the number of devices. It grows exponentially. So capturing those network effects. And if you think about in Illuminate's case, right, if you have all these different security cameras around the world, using privacy preserving object detection in the future, that's billions of cameras that are, acting as agents on behalf of users to create this public utility. How big is the security camera space, or like how many devices is this total addressable market that we're talking about?
Definitely huge. We're talking about 50-ish thousand cities, and we're covering all the main roads. Even side streets have really important data. We're talking about what the data could be used for. You're looking at cities that we're from Canada. We have crazy snowstorms, and the plow has to just go out and clean all the roads. So when you're looking at having our devices out there, even on the side streets, it's how much snow is accumulated. Do we need to send out a plow now? The city can save, huge amounts of money. Just one quick example. But the question is more, how large can it get? It is literally in the billions of cameras. If you look at China's network of cameras for their, what do they call it now? Anyway, they have a name for it. Can't think of it. But they have over 1 billion cameras. And that's just one country. So we're talking about worldwide. And really covering, so hundreds of millions to billions is definitely not to be unexpected here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just represents MachineFi really well, right? Using machines. These cameras are going to have a primary purpose to obviously provide security to whatever owner or area that is covering, but really building a secondary stream of utility when it's not being used, for example, to protect the security of the owner. It can be used to provide insights about the environment to create this kind of data product down the road, right? So you mentioned a little about your roadmap here. I think it's very exciting. We're here in Q2. You're doing the closed beta with PC miners for public camera feeds. launching the app, NFTs, token launch, Q3, Q4, introducing new types of devices, whether they're user-owned security cameras or these all-in-one mining device. So, we're really excited to see you guys execute this roadmap, and really excited to see some IoTeX community members start to participate in the beta. For those that wanted to join the beta, I see this join the waitlist button here on your website, but how do people get involved with Elumicate? How would you recommend them to join your community?
Yeah, so it's if you go to the website lumikate.com, we've got links on the bottom to our Discord, to our Twitter. We have a blog on there. We also have link to our LinkedIn page if you want to check us out. We have an existing awesome community. Like you mentioned, we did our first round for the beta testing. We actually are not currently beta testing, so the community chipped in, did some beta testing, gave some great feedback. We're making a few changes there, but right now we're integrating with the IoTeX platform. And once that's done, we'll release another phase for the beta. So definitely recommend that people sign up to the wait list now, because at that point we'll send out another alert saying, this is how you join our pre-final beta, I guess, before we actually go live, which should be fairly soon. We're talking weeks, but it's definitely not years. So
Awesome.
and then I guess also I wanted to say that we're looking to grow the team as well. So we are looking for driven, energetic people that want to if they're interested in this mission, they want to grow something huge and exciting. We would love to hear from them. We have a job section on our site where they can drop their resume as well.
Awesome. Well, you heard the man. Join that Discord. Jump into the Elumicate community, and if you guys are looking to work into Web3, give Jason a ring. But thanks so much for joining. I'm sure we'll hear more about Elumicate very soon, with the kind of the publicizing of your initiatives here. But thanks so much for sharing a little bit about this unique MachineFi use case. We're really looking forward to supporting you guys on your journey.
Absolutely. Thanks, Larry.
Awesome. Good one. See you later. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Awesome, guys. So that was Elumicate, a very exciting MachineFi use case. Kind of brings in a little bit of the UCAM feel to it, right? We launched UCAM, which is a private security camera, back in 2020. And that was meant to be kind of an own your data camera. But it's always been the case that once you own your data, you can decide what to do with it, right? Either keep it private for yourself or contribute it to a kind of a global network. And that's exactly what Elumicate is doing with different types of security cameras and LiDAR sensors for object detection of outdoor events. Seems like a little bit of a niche space, but as Jason mentioned, the addressable market is massive with so many security cameras already out there. So really excited. Thanks so much to Elumicate for joining today. And we're gonna follow up now with HealthBlocks. We have one of our favorites here, Roseanne, and she's going to share a little bit about some of the progress they're making. I think they just launched their apps on the Android and the Apple app stores. So really excited to welcome back Roseanne to the show. How's it going, Roseanne?
Hey, Larry. Great to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You guys are, hot off, a lot of momentum. You had a great event with Simone and Dan and some of the rest of the IoTeX team in Amsterdam during ETH Amsterdam, and obviously making some great progress with your beta test. So we're going to cover all of that today. But for those that haven't heard about HealthBlocks yet, maybe share a little bit about HealthBlocks and yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure. So HealthBlocks it's a Web3 app in which you want to give ownership and control of health data back to the user. And our main mission actually is to unlock the value of health data. We believe that all the data that we're collecting from especially our health IoT devices, like our smartwatch or a sleep monitor or blood glucose monitor, has a lot of value for the past, the present, but also the future of our health. We have a kind of like a diverse team. Myself, I have a background in biomedical sciences, so I'm a real health nerd, and we have some tech people and also some more like campaign and marketing driven people. And we kind of believe in the value of health data for two reasons. The first one for us is really obvious, to improve people's health, of course. That's our main focus. But secondly, we really believe in the fundamental belief that the user should be the owner and in full control of the data. And also, like the whole Web3 space the last couple of years really gave us the opportunity to think of democratizing the value of data. And that is like super interesting to us. Like, how can we let also the monetary value of data flow back to the user and create an ecosystem that supports health, and also see like what can you do with it, how can you then provide more access to healthcare for everybody and make a more fair, global accessible system for everyone. So kind of like a big vision. Definitely a long-term project around here, but we are super excited that we now launched our beta and people can just start testing out our app. And of course, the most important thing, start earning some health by completing the health goals. So that's pretty cool. And I think the most funny part is that you know that, Larry, we are already working on this for over a year, more than a year. And when we
Mm-hmm.
started, everybody was talking about data and rewarding for healthy behavior was kind of like, fun concept, but not really thrilled about it. And then a couple of
Yeah.
months ago, of course, Stefan came along, and now everybody's talking about like move to earn, walk to earn, sleep to earn, everything to earn. So I
Yeah.
think it's good time for us in this space. Yeah, it's great timing.
Absolutely. You guys were definitely, the pioneers of this concept. I think some of the new ones that are launching have some questionable tokenomics, but one thing I would appreciate about HealthBlocks from the jump, you guys were always very mission focused, right? Everything you said about educating people about the value of their health data and ultimately using Web3 not only to give people health tokens, but allow them to use those health tokens to get healthier, right? So it's kind of a virtuous cycle about closing that loop. But we mentioned a little bit about the beta. You guys have been making a lot of great progress building out your own community. Tell us a little bit more about the app and the beta and what people are up to in testing out this new this new concept.
Yeah, so the HealthBlocks beta is pretty straightforward. Everybody can make a health profile, or first start with the beginning, download the app, of course, in the Apple App
Hmm.
Store or in Google Play Store. Then you can make a health profile, which is basically a decentralized identity on the IoTeX blockchain. And in that, from that, you can store your data. So we are kind of like starting with a hybrid model that we're kind of like copying the data from the integrations that we are having. So in a beta, you can integrate with Google Fit, Fitbit, Garmin, and Apple Health is coming within a couple of weeks, just a matter of time. And then you can
Hmm.
integrate your wearable or your health data and start earning some health tokens. We have 3 in-app goals. First one is really easy. Everybody can do it. You don't need a wearable for it. And that is doing the health quiz and answering 4 questions about your health on a daily basis. Is derived from a World Health Organization questionnaire about our self-perceived health. So it's kind of like pretty personal, but thank God we are living in a blockchain era and we can do it securely, so nobody get access to it. Um,
Hmm.
and then, of course, the second goal is completing 10,000 steps and also burning some calories. And I can say that we're also now working on adding some extra health goals from the data that we are getting. So we are getting activity data, so steps, calories, workout minutes, and sleep. So with that data, we
Hmm.
can create health goals and reward the users. And if people complete all the 3 health goals in one day, they get some extra bonus rewards. And if you make a streak of 7 days, you get even an extra reward, although there are some kind of like minor issues with that, so which we are working on. But yeah, it's very cool that people are. We only shared it until now, to be honest, in our Telegram group, which has around like 1,000 people in it, and people started using it right away. And we are now and we have almost 10K people on the whitelist for participation, and uh, the entry goes open like tomorrow morning. So then we will sending it out to those people, and of course the people that are listening today can hop on and download the app. But yeah, we're very excited also about the response that we're getting from our community. And yeah, it's kind of like amazing to see people like walking around, making pictures, and sending like how they're reaching their health goals and earning some tokens. Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for those of people that are already active, right? Maybe this health blocks kind of thing is almost like a just like a nice reminder to stay active, right? But I think the real power of this is for folks that aren't as active, maybe on crypto Twitter a little too much, just living in the digital world. There's no better incentive to go out and move and, stay active than, some type of monetary incentive. It doesn't have to mean money. It could be reputation, it could be voting rights, but just some type of incentive to as a daily reminder to get up and move, right? So like you mentioned, these 6 steps are very easy. Download the app, create your profile, of course, back up your phrase, and then connect to the devices that you already have today. Bring your own device kind of model. Complete health challenges. For now, it's about steps, it's about calories and health surveys. In the future, it could be getting 7 hours of sleep or 8, or however many people are getting these days, or other things like increasing your heart rate, right? So there's so many different ways to gamify the wellness space, and of course, earning health, which you can then use within the ecosystem, get even more healthy. I think that's the really interesting part of all of this, right? Um,
Yeah.
so that's amazing. It's really amazing stuff. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about you mentioned one big name that's kind of circulating around the move to earn space is Steppen, right? A lot of people are earning the sneaker NFTs and playing in the Steppen ecosystem. But how would you compare and contrast HealthBlocks to Steppen, both like functionality wise and vision wise?
Yeah. Well, let's start with one thing, and that is I think it's really good that Steppen took over the place. I mean, they made a great app. It's really user friendly. I think this is something the Web3 space needed, something with
Hmm.
great adoption as well. And so we are really happy that the project is out there. Of course, when something like this goes out and you're working on such a project yourself, you're start comparing right away, like what do we have in common, or in what matters do we differ. And I think we have in common that we of course want to gamify a healthy lifestyle, which is I think is always something that is very good and very needed in our Western societies. And I think where we differ is that we always have a very preventative healthcare approach, and also are more like leaning more toward building an ecosystem, which we already planned out, like how are we going to do that. And it goes way beyond only rewarding for healthy behavior. As you already mentioned, it's also providing access to health services, and also create different ways in which other brands can reward us for healthy behavior. And I think on a fundamental level, we truly believe in very low entry barriers. So with HealthBlocks, we will be introducing an NFT game at the main launch later this year, but we always want to make it accessible for everybody, so that anybody also without an NFT, you can join HealthBlocks and earn some rewards. And we of course, within our team, but also within the community, we have some pretty good debates about what kind of like reward is a fair reward for doing such things, right? For completing health goals, and where does the real value in an ecosystem lays? Is the main incentive
Hmm.
that you're using an app that you're getting rewards, or does it have some additional value? And I think that is something that we are really spending a lot of time and energy on, because personally I believe that you don't have to get paid like $20 to complete 10,000 steps. It's kind of like not sustainable for the long term. And kind of like also with Elumicate, what we're seeing is that if you are keep on collecting data and are compounding data in your health profile,
Hmm.
the value doesn't lay in completing health goals. It lays in the profile that you're building up from yourself. And how can you utilize the value of that profile in the long term for your own health through health services and everything, but also in the form of like data pools, and setting out that data. And then you get
Yeah.
access to more like a closed loop token model that is way more sustainable for the long term. And it's not only kind of like leaning on the gamification part of it. So gamification is a part of it, but I think you have to put it in perspective of a greater ecosystem. And that is
Right.
definitely what we are aiming for at HealthBlocks.
Yeah, the sustainability of the ecosystem itself is underpinned by the tokenomics and the decisions around, the pace at which you want to grow, right? That's the power of these tokenomics is you can front load all of the incentives to the first 3 months, but then that means it's not going to be as sustainable, or there's going to be a huge cliff as you try to reach that kind of supply demand equilibrium, right? Yeah, it's very interesting to think about, and it's good to take the scan of the landscape, see what is attractive to folks, see what's not attractive, and kind of make it your own, right?
Yeah.
But you guys have a
Well,
really awesome roadmap plan as well. Sorry, go ahead. Mhm.
yeah, no, yeah. What we did in the past couple of weeks or months is ask a lot of people like, what is a fair reward for completing a health goal? And it was so funny. If you ask people in the Web3 space, they're saying like, it has to be more than $10 a day, because if you compare it to Steppen, it is still very very low. If you ask people that are just using a wearable and are not familiar with Web3, they're like, if I get 50 cents, I'm pretty happy. It's better than nothing, right?
Yeah,
So it's kind of like also a mindset. I think a little bit people in Web3 are a little spoiled that they always get rewards for anything they do. They always get
yeah,
something. They don't have to pay a lot. They are always getting. So I think that is something we aim for, more like stability than going for that hype at the beginning. And that's
yeah,
also, I think, kind of like you see it back in our roadmap as well, that we are, for example, we are launch our beta now, a real working app, without doing our private round first. So we are did it on some creative budgets and creative work. And we are just, we are a team that likes to do things first and then make announcements or go a little bit bigger. We learned it from IoTeX, I think. And we are now planning out. We are doing the beta for the couple of coming months, and then later this year, Q3, Q4, we will be launching the main version of the app, which will be including an NFT game. And also then later on, we will be adding extra value, added value to the network through activity pools, the health services, and also data pools. But that will be a little bit more like, yeah, not in the short term. That will be adding those things. And also, like, what I think good to know is that the health tokens that are mined now are test tokens. We are doing on testnet, but they will be swapped through an airdrop for real tokens once we go live with the main version. So everything that is kind of like earned now in beta will be of real value in the future as well.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's a very exciting roadmap, right? Step by step, building the core community of folks that are, interested in testing out the technology, to then gamifying things a bit, to then finally, really finding that utility. It's one of those things that once you amass a certain amount of users, past that threshold and achieve that critical mass of data, then you guys start to become a platform where all these like health insights are going to be coming from, not just rewarding users for the individual health data, but putting all the users' health data together to create something where 1 + 1 = 3, right? So we're really excited for
Exactly.
you guys. And how do people get started with HealthBlocks? Obviously joining the beta test, but what does that process look like? How would you recommend?
Well, you can go to the website, healthblocks.ai, and then we made like 1,000 buttons to download the app on the Apple App Store or Android, and just, yeah, start using. And please let us know through the Telegram. We have an official channel, but we also have a beta support channel, in which we can, if you have problems setting up, shoot us a message in the support group. And of course, share us your feedback, so we can take it along in the further development of the app. And until now, we are very happy with all the feedback that we are getting. Some honest opinions and some very good things that we will definitely take into account for the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you heard it there first. Jump into that beta test. I think the apps are out on Android and Apple App Store. Super exciting. But as always, thanks so much for joining, Roseanne. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot from you guys very soon.
Thanks, Larry.
Awesome. See you later.
See you later. Bye bye.
Awesome, guys. So that was HealthBlocks. Of course, probably a project that some of the IoTeX community has already heard about in the past, but really excited to see them making such great progress on the community side and just the product side as well. I'm really excited to see. Our next guest is SumoTex. Is also a project that has been making a lot of waves. It's great to see SumoTex partnering with so many different other projects in the IoTeX ecosystem, from Star Crazy to Mimo, and now launching some really innovative stuff on the NFT side as well. So I'm not going to spoil the story here. I'm going to welcome Dexter, founder and CEO of SumoTex. How's it going, Dexter?
Hey Larry, great to be back.
Yeah, awesome. For those that haven't heard about SumoTex, maybe introduce yourself and a little bit about where the SumoTex brand comes from.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Dexter, CEO and co-founder of SumoTex. So we started out as a fractionalized NFT project in real
Mm-hmm.
estate. So what we do is we invest in real estate and also the metaverse. So yeah, we started out quite I would say explosive. We had a really explosive growth when we acquired our first Star Crazy planet. People really
Mm-hmm.
see the value that we bring, because in traditional real estate, right, a lot of them could not afford a real estate, or the barrier of
Mm-hmm.
entry is too high. So our vision was to change that on the blockchain, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
is only achievable through the blockchain. Yeah, so since then we have moved on and developed something what we call Sumo Lab. So what Sumo Lab does is actually integrating Machine 5 capability into our NFT. So how does it work actually is we fuse the Machine 5 NFT with Sumo Potion, X Potion, what we call it, and it comes out a X Sumo, which is a Machine 5 income generation Sumo NFT. So what we plan to do with the funds minted for this X Sumo is to acquire more real estates and installing Pebble trackers onto them while collecting data. So that's where it gets really interesting, you see. So in the future, we are also developing a DApp on the Machine 5 portal and monetize them, which will generate
Mm-hmm.
returns back to the Xsumo NFTs holders.
Yeah. I like that you guys are kind of democratizing access to, you
Yeah.
guys originally started from the real estate private equity space, right? Which is all about, accredited investors taking, ownership in commercial buildings that are then leased to people. And there's a
Mhm.
huge barrier to entry to enter that market for someone that wants to participate as an individual, right? So that was the ultimate focus, is to democratize access to traditional real estate through Web3. But you guys also saw this opportunity in all this kind of metaverse real estate. And I think that was a easier thing for the Web3 community to grasp. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about these three pillars of your project here: the metaverse real estate, the real world real estate, where MachineFi is going to play a bigger role to track the energy efficiency of these buildings, the status
Yeah.
of these buildings, even maybe working with the Lumikate to track the number of people walking in and out of these buildings. And then ultimately, there's a whole DeFi ecosystem that can be built on top of that. But walk us through kind of these three pillars of the project.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about the metaverse real estate investment. So
Mm-hmm.
what our decision, we started out as a real world real estate investment firm, which is what SumoTex is all about. But
Mm-hmm.
during the course, halfway, we saw the opportunity to acquire metaverse real estate. So one of our first acquisition was the Star Crazy Planet, which I believe they are launching their planet functions next month, or yeah, this month. So what we basically operate this metaverse real estate similarly to the real world real estate, right? We rent it out, we add value to it, and later on down in the timeline we decide whether do we want to sell it for profit or just keep it as a rental collection, a stable yield kind of returns back to our holders. Yeah, so that's
Mm-hmm.
more towards the metaverse real estate, right?
Yeah.
As for the real world real estate, similar to the metaverse, just that we operate them on off chain, while these assets are tied to a security trustee, which acts as a oracle that feeds data back into the blockchain. So everything is verifiable, and yeah. So that's the real world real estate part. While the
Hmm.
final
And
pillar
people
we
are
call
earning APR
Mhm.
on this kind of with the NFTs that they hold, right? And yeah,
Yeah,
what is this
yeah,
collateralized lending piece of it? This sounds very akin to what's going on in the real world, right? About
yes,
collateralizing the real estate that you own, borrowing against it. It's kind of the secret of the mega rich, right? To do this kind of thing. But again,
yeah,
democratizing access to that for everyday people. Maybe explain that a little bit as well.
yeah, sure. So this is actually related to our tokenomics, which what we call the asset file protocol. So what we
Hmm.
plan to do is actually to be a protocol where people can tokenize everything that they own, whether it's on the
Hmm.
metaverse or the real world real estate, right?
Hmm.
So maybe a little bit complicated, but just think of it as a platform for you to tokenize your asset, right?
Hmm.
Be it a BAYC NFT, CryptoPunk, NFT World Land, Star Crazy Planet, or maybe even a building or your own house,
Yeah.
right? So this has shipped, I think the bulge bracket firms, the banks like JP Morgan, they have sought the opportunity where recently, I think yesterday, Singapore Central Bank just announced their collaboration with JP Morgan into
Yeah.
tokenization of bonds, right?
Hmm.
So we had our white paper published, I think 2 months back, where that was one of our goals as well, to tokenize bond, anything related to institutional finance, commercial
Yeah.
finance, retail finance. We want to tokenize them all. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And a bond is probably the most easy to model out the cash flows and the returns, right? Fixed income. But
yeah,
commercial buildings and things like that are also very predictable in the amount of cash flow that they'll be generating, right?
hmm,
But you wanted to add an extra layer to that as well, around bringing in kind of machine related data about these buildings too, right?
yeah,
Right now, all the real estate developers are talking about ESG, how to make these buildings more sustainable, and that
hmm,
affects the valuation of these buildings quite a lot, right? Maybe talk in the future. What are your future plans for MachineFi, and how can this really help to give a more clear valuation and pricing to these commercial real estate assets?
yeah, sure, definitely. So one of the pain point of commercial real estate is a lot of the brokers, or you can say the vendors, are not being transparent
Hmm.
about their data, right? I have met
Yeah.
so many of them that they just gave me some data, like, say for example, the utility bill is way lower than the other buildings that I'm looking at. So definitely there's something fishy there. So I saw the opportunity in MachineFi, and I believe that with Pebble trackers, we are able to track this energy consumption, right? So
Hmm.
with that, that will directly have a positive impact to the valuation of the building, whether is the building efficient enough, and does it make it a investable investment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, there's so many different angles about how machine information can be used to not only
Mm,
price these buildings, but also connect buyers and sellers, right? Give them a more
yeah,
clear picture about what they're buying into. Um, awesome. Well, I want to jump into one last topic, and it's about your NFTs, right? So as we mentioned,
yeah,
kind of the gateway to the SumoTex ecosystem is holding one of these NFTs that represent kind of fractional ownership of the portfolio of metaverse and real estate assets that kind of
yeah,
SumoTex is compiling, right? So talk to us a little bit about the NFTs. How do people mint them? I guess I can dox myself and show some of the NFTs that I've minted myself. Let's see here.
right.
Um, yeah, I've been minting a bunch of different NFTs across all these different networks. But here are mine. I got
Yeah,
a lot of big sumos. I got one emperor, I think, that's
Wow.
giving me a lot of APY here, and I
Yeah.
bought the serum to mix them into. Oh, I guess I have one serum that I haven't used yet.
Yeah.
But what are we looking at here? Explain to someone that hasn't dove into the SumoTex ecosystem. Yeah, what we're looking at here.
Right. So, very interesting concept is why the character sumo, right? We started out uh, as a vision for real estate. So, I have thought that what signifies stability. So immediately I thought of a fat guy, a sumo wrestler.
Hmm.
And we went on with the design. We have designed the APY. We have introduced a little bit of a gamify element into the NFT, where there's a chance that you may get a 1% APY up to a 25% APY NFT. So these are calculated based on our profits. So we will declare our profits annually and distribute them accordingly. Whether is it every quarter or so is decided by the community, right?
Yeah.
So another thing is these NFTs, by holding a special edition NFT, you will be entitled for a 1,000 SumoTex coin airdrop, while the X Sumo brings you 1,005 SumoTex token airdrop, right?
Hmm.
And they will
And
be
that's just
unlocked.
the represents ownership of this kind of fractional ownership of this portfolio of assets, right? It's kind of that's
Yeah,
what the APY is determined based off.
yeah.
Hmm.
Whichever SumoTex
Awesome.
make, even when we launch our SF5 protocol, because there will be a management fee to all the assets owner or fund manager that tokenize their assets on the protocol, and they will
Right.
have part of it as well.
Absolutely. So, the process here is mint one of the OG SumoTex
Yeah,
NFTs,
yeah,
and if you buy this kind of X potion, kind
yeah,
of inspired by mutant apes, bored apes, kind
yeah,
of uh, blending of two NFTs to create a new NFT, right? So
yeah.
it's really exciting to see this kind of stuff working on chain, right? It's very, very cool.
Mhm.
So, for those that want to mint, I think the process is just to go, of course, go to SumoTech's website and check out the Sumo Lab and the View NFTs tab here. But yeah, aside from getting your first NFT, it's kind of the membership into the SumoTech's investing community. How else do you recommend people to get involved? What's the best way to join the SumoTech's community?
Yeah, I think the best way where our community are the most active would be our Telegram group. As you can see
Hmm.
on the website, there will be a call to action button where you can join, follow our Twitter, join our Telegram group, and also read our white papers. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, we're really excited to see, not only the progress of your project, but really love to see that you're partnering with so many other IoTeX ecosystem projects as well. So, really becoming a mainstay in the ecosystem. We're really excited to, see what comes next. Any final words for the viewers today?
Uh, Not really, but if you want to know more, join our Telegram group. We are always here to help.
Awesome, awesome. You heard Dexter, jump into the SumoTex Telegram group and yeah, pick up your first fractional piece of real estate portfolio. Thanks so much for joining today, Dexter. And
Thanks, Larry.
I'm going to go mix that last potion that you sent me right after this call. All right,
Sure. Cheers.
cool.
Bye.
See you later. Have a good one. Awesome, guys. So that was SumoTex. Interesting use case of machine-fi data. The primary is going to be, of course, to fractionalize this real estate portfolio, but really excited to see how different types of devices, from the HVAC units in a building to the smart meters that detect how much energy these buildings are utilizing. That's really going to be interesting kind of actuarial science kind of pricing of assets based on verifiable user-owned data. So it's going to be really, really exciting. But we have one last guest today, and we're really excited about this as well. It's MOBI. MOBI is a consortium of automotive manufacturers and blockchain companies, and doing a lot of really amazing working groups, pilots, and they've just started a new initiative called ITN, where IoTeX is going to be running a node. So I'm going to welcome Rajat, lead of the working groups of MOBI, to share a little bit more about the integrated trust network. But before we dive into this new initiative of MOBI, Rajat, maybe please introduce yourself a little bit and a little bit about what MOBI is all about.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. It's a little fuzzy, but no worries.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. I've been in this panel before, so it's always good to be back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, so MOBI is a Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative. It started around 2018, and the idea is that we need a new thinking of how mobility is implemented using the Web3 infrastructure, right? So current mobility industry is built on Web2, and it's a big industry. It's complex, it's diverse, but what does it mean to build this on Web3? What does it mean for regular users? What does it mean for enterprise, and so on and so forth? So MOBI primarily. MOBI is a nonprofit. It's a global nonprofit, and it's driven completely by the membership dues. MOBI primarily. Can I share my screen? Or no? There you go. You have it.
Yeah.
MOBI builds standards, and so we started as a standards organization. We still are a standard organization, and it's important that we have standards in place. Now we're moving towards what we call reference implementation of those standards, and bringing in different technology components like decentralized IDs and zero knowledge proofs into the mobility industry, so to speak. So our members are obviously a lot of big auto manufacturers, suppliers. Our members include Ford, BMW, Honda, Mazda recently joined, Stellantis recently joined. We have big AWS is also involved. We have big auto component suppliers like Denso, which is one of the largest auto component supplier in the world. We have a lot of Japanese companies as well. So we have 1/3 of our members in North America, 1/3 Europe, 1/3 in Asia. We've gotten a lot of attention from Japanese companies like Itochu, Toyota Industries. So everybody's kind of very excited about the Web3, and they're learning about the Web3, and how can they monetize the Web3 moving forward, right? So that's where we are in the intersection of Web3 and mobility, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not just about automotive, right? It's about mobility, this emerging sharing economy, from scooters to vehicles, of course, but also how vehicles will connect to city infrastructure, right? There's always, I guess, two ways to think about blockchain and IoT. One is blockchains providing security, privacy, interoperability to the legacy IoT. The other is kind of IoT being a brand new data source for what's already going on in Web3. How does MOBI view Web3 and the opportunities within the mobility sector?
Yeah, so for us, Web3 is a pretty simple notion, which is privacy preservation, right? So if I'm a regular user and I want to go from A to B, that the current Web2 infrastructure is I have to give away a lot of my information about where I'm going, the breadcrumbs of my position, so on and so forth. The position we are in with the Web3 is, no, I don't need to give you all that information. I can pick and choose the information that I want to provide to you. So it's up to it's power to the user, right? So that's what Web3 for us is, and I think that's going to generate a completely new business model in the mobility space that we have not seen before.
Yeah, absolutely.
That will transform the mobility as we know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, all of these kind of, very future looking ideas always start with some type of working group or POC. And as the MOBI working group's chair, you have the, ability to see a broad range of use cases. Maybe tell us a little bit about what's going on from like a pilot's working group's perspective in MOBI right now.
Yeah, we have 4 working groups currently running. One is a supply chain working group, which is co-chaired by Ford, and we're looking at
Hmm.
battery EV battery supply chain. And EV batteries are becoming more and more prevalent in EVs, and batteries are the most expensive component or part in the EV. So we're looking at how to ethically source the components in the batteries. If there's a recall or warranty issues, who has the batteries, who has the modules. So from a kind of end-to-end transparency and traceability of battery and battery components. And there are certain regulations coming out, especially in European Union, which requires the battery track and traceability for first life,
Hmm.
call the first life, second life, until they call the end of life, right? So it ends up
Right.
in a landfill. But the idea is to reduce the number of batteries and parts that end up in a landfill because it has a lot of hazardous components. So that's one pilot we're doing at this point. We have another one that's looking at dealer floor plan auditing. If you go to a dealer, you see lots of cars, and you'd be surprised how complex the whole workflow for those cars to be there at the dealer, because most of those cars are collaterals because they are owned by big banks and lending companies and what we call
Hmm.
CAP. So they do a lot of manual process of figuring out, are the cars in the dealer or not, right? Have they been sold? If they've been sold, then the dealer has to pay back the principal to their lender. So there's a bit of a location verification going on as to whether the cars are there, and that's where things like Pebble trackers can come in really handy. Um,
Hmm.
we have the third pilot, which is looking at, and this is a US DOT funded pilot, is looking at multimodal trip for a regular individual by the way of privacy preservation, right?
Hmm.
How do we not disclose everything about our location, just to take a trip, right? That's what Google does with the Google Maps. It tracks all of your breadcrumbs. So
Yeah.
we're using W3C standards for verifiable credentials and zero knowledge proofs, putting all of those components together to tell anybody who's verifying that, did you go from A to B? Yes, I went from A to B, but I don't need to give you all the details about that breadcrumbs, right?
Hmm.
So 3 main pilots that we're working on at this point.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a theme of transparency, especially on the B2B side of things, right? Where
Mhm. Yeah.
maybe some of the enterprise requirements are a little simpler at the end of the day, where, all they want is a shared database that is filled with verifiable data as the starting point, right? On top of
Exactly.
which a lot of business logic and lending and borrowing and kind of financial concepts can be built, but on top of this verifiable, data pool. But on the consumer side, it's all about, providing ownership of that information and
Mhm.
more of an opt-in mechanism, right? If you own the trip
Yeah.
information that you have and you need to prove that to an insurance company or prove it to some other stakeholder, then, you have the ability to do that, or you have the ability to keep it absolutely private, right? So
Correct.
just
Correct.
such a big design space for what's going on in Web3 and automotive. But one
Yeah.
initiative that's kind of new is MOBI just launched the Integrated Trust Network (ITN) as a
Mhm.
passport to Web3 and IoT commerce. And
Mhm.
the full announcement is not out yet, but IoTeX is going to be running a node
Yep.
for ITN.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thank
share a little bit about
you.
what ITN is really up to and what are the goals of this new initiative in MOBI.
So ITN is it started as a MobiNet, but now ITN, it used to be only Mobi's initiative, but ITN, it became ITN because now we also have MEF consortium in the mix. So MEF is a consortium of, it's a very traditional, oh, I won't say traditional, but it's been in
Hmm.
existence for a long time. It is represented by telecom industry. So we put together, thinking that we need a network, a federated network, and we call it ITN, Integrated Trust Network. So essentially, it's a federated network of various node operators. There are some rules and rules about who can join the network, who can run the nodes, and obviously IoTeX is one of them. So basically, the ITN is a layer 2, let's say, layer 2 in the architecture. The essence of ITN is it mainly stores the decentralized ID. So it's a repository of decentralized ID. So anybody can come in and verify the IDs as so that they can further trust the transactions that's coming out of those IDs. So ITN is a very simple concept, but a very powerful concept in the sense that it provides the identity trust, identity network for enterprise to build applications on top, right? Business applications.
Yeah.
It doesn't store their trade trade secrets and trade transactions because that's out of the scope. Most enterprises would not want that in any way. So we're very excited about it. We have, I think, 7 to 11 big companies running nodes. So we believe this is probably the first in the Web3 world that big enterprises and big OEMs are now running the nodes, and we're all trying to also figure out. Our next step is to figure out now how do we integrate, how do we do various use cases on top of it, and then also integrate with their legacy systems, which is where the fun begins.
Absolutely. I love the theme about joint value creation. And you see that all over the description on the website here. For everyone that wants to check out ITN and MOBI more, here's the website that we're showing on the screen here. But this joint value creation is really putting together the utility that multiple nodes can offer, right? IoTeX provides, different verifiable machine data. Automotive manufacturers provide data about their cars, and like you said, it's nothing like a trade secret, but things where you can capture these network effects of the contributions of various stakeholders, right? To, again, build this foundation of data on top of which, there's so many different business logic things that can be layered on top. So it's exciting to just think about the vast amount of possibilities here. What's next for MOBI? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to add that, it's obviously a lot of people are interested in kind of a decentralized and public and permissionless blockchains, but it's very difficult to use that in the context of enterprises, right? Because they're regulated industries, and you can't disclose all their trade information. So the federated network, I think, is the next best thing, and it solves solves a lot of the pain points for the large enterprises. And
I see a resurgence of kind of these like enterprise consortium blockchains, right? In the past, it was all about a lack of buy-in from the stakeholders, but now that you have a lot of big companies willing to put their data onto a public or a permissioned blockchain, it's almost like back in the day when you're going from on-prem data centers to cloud. Everyone's so hesitant about putting their data on cloud, but once they did, the snowball effect of what you can do with all this data, of course, that aggregated upwards towards the big tech companies. But in the Web3 model, it's going to aggregate downwards. The value is going to accrue downwards to the people that actually participate in the network. So interesting, the resurgence of kind of these consortium blockchains based on regulatory buy-in, enterprise buy-in, and things like that, right? Very interesting to think about.
With regards to your question about what next, we continue to do the pilots, and we think that's how we learn it. That's how the industry learns it. So we built standards in our first phase. So we're doing the so-called battle testing of those standards, right? It's very important, and we're also going to do some revisions of those standards. Keep on working on the pilots, and our next goal is to integrate with the legacy systems, and then help our members scale their business application, right? The Web3 business applications. There's just a lot of them, and we can't do all of them, but we chose to do 3 pilots. We'll probably do a few more. So stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely time to get some Pebble trackers inserted into these working groups now that the everything's very much more mature on the Pebble tracker side. But Rajat, thank you so much for joining and sharing more about MOBI and what you guys are up to. We're going to be providing a lot more updates on our involvement in some of these working groups and, of course, the new ITN. So yeah, really appreciate the time today. I'm sure we'll be chatting again very soon.
Bye.
Awesome. Have a good one. Thank you. Awesome, guys. So yeah, that was MOBI. MOBI is, a consortium, one of many consortiums that IoTeX has a deep participation in. And, for those that haven't seen IoTex's involvement, back in the day, Xin and I did a webinar about democratizing access to this new economy of movement with blockchain and IoT. Really recommend everyone to read this article about, the opportunities in the IoT space, and more specifically this automotive and sharing economy space, right? Where this privacy preserving digital wallet that's kind of attached to your vehicle is going to be able to be the access point to interacting with other things around, grocery stores, fuel stations, toll roads, restaurants. It's just a massive, massive design space. So Xin and I shared a little bit about how verifiable devices and verifiable data kind of fit into this. But we're really excited to continue our relationship with MOBI and really just bring more and more interesting use cases to the fold. So that was our ecosystem spotlight for today. Really appreciate everyone for joining. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but there's so many new projects that are coming on to IoTeX. We're going to be doing a lot more of these probably on a monthly basis from now on. And really appreciate, just to recap, we chatted with Elumicate. Elumicate is building an outdoor event kind of data capture network using home security cameras, outdoor cameras, LiDAR sensors in the future, and really painting a picture of what's going on within a certain physical space. Number of people that walk by, number of bikes that walk by, number of cars that drive by, and even the types of cars that Jason had mentioned, something I hadn't thought about. Really, really interesting insights that would be captured from this people-owned network. We talked to HealthBlocks, who's currently running their own beta test with the goal of democratizing access to your health data and also earning from that health data, both from an individual basis and from a group collective basis. SumoTex doing something similar along the lines of commercial real estate, democratizing access to this very high barrier to entry investment opportunity in the real estate industry, but not just physical real estate, but also metaverse real estate. And finally, we chatted with Rajat from MOBI to introduce this new initiative with ITN, IoTeX, and MOBI, where we're going to be contributing a lot of verifiable machine data to their ecosystem for a number of purposes, as you mentioned, dealerships, toll roads, and much, much more. So with that, really appreciate everyone for joining our ecosystem spotlight. Check out Mainnet 1.8, which was just launched very recently. And we're going to leave you today with a couple videos here about the IoTeX ecosystem. But stay tuned. Little alpha leak. We got some big things coming up in June. Can't believe it's June already. But things are going to get really hot from here on out. So with that, I'm going to leave you with some videos of IoTeX. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you guys next time.
Our world is powered by billions of smart devices that generate an incredible amount of data and value. This phenomenon is called the Internet of Things, or IoT. From smart homes and wearables to connected vehicles and renewable energy, the IoT is impacting everyone and everything. But today, the multi-trillion-dollar IoT industry is owned by centralized corporations that control our devices, mine our data, and earn huge profits with no value returned to users. IoTeX is here to change the status quo and build a future that empowers users, not corporations. We envision a world where everyday people can own and control their devices, as well as the data and value they generate. A vision we call the Internet of Trusted Things. By connecting the physical and digital worlds, IoTeX allows us to secure the data from billions of smart devices and extract value from it with next-gen dApps. Join IoTeX as we democratize access to the new machine economy and return power to the people. IoTeX is more than just a blockchain. It's a full-stack platform that enables trusted data from trusted devices for use in trusted applications. The IoTeX platform combines innovations in blockchain, identity, oracles, and hardware to make real-world data available to blockchain dApps for the first time. Secure hardware captures and signs real-world data that anyone can verify and trust. Real-world data oracles bring this verifiable data to the blockchain in a trusted manner. Decentralized identity enables humans and devices to own their data as digital assets. And blockchain enables users to earn and trade digital assets across the ecosystem of IoTeX dApps. The IoTeX blockchain is lightning fast and EVM compatible, allowing builders to port over Solidity-based dApps and tokens in minutes and enjoy ultra-low fees and 5-second block times with instant finality. Governed by a global network of delegates, IoTeX is the trusted and decentralized foundation to power your next big idea. IoTeX is the native token of the IoTeX network. Being an IoTeX token holder grants you voting power and allows you to participate in network governance. IoTeX is a utility token that can be spent and staked to access various applications and services in the IoTeX network. Delegates stake IoTeX to participate in network consensus and earn IoTeX rewards. Developers utilize IoTeX to power their dApps, create new tokens, and fuel crypto economics. Users spend IoTeX to access dApps, register devices, and interact with the network, and can also earn token rewards and voting power by staking IoTeX. The total supply of IoTeX is deflationary thanks to our burn drop tokenomics, where IoTeX is burned and airdropped to users after every new device is registered to the IoTeX network. As the number of dApps, devices, and tokens on IoTeX grows, the value and demand for IoTeX will increase, providing recurring incentives for token holders to grow and maintain the network. The IoTeX network is home to an ecosystem of dApps, tokens, and services that connect the physical and digital worlds. By bringing real-world data to blockchain, IoTeX enables an entirely new category of use cases where users can earn digital assets based on their real-world data and actions. All types of machines can be registered to IoTeX and deliver facts about the real world to the blockchain, a concept we call proof of anything. From proof of activity to fuel decentralized healthcare, to proof of safety to settle insurance contracts, to proof of green energy to fuel renewable energy marketplaces. Real-world data will change everything for blockchain and spark a new era of innovation on IoTeX. With IoTeX, we can unlock liquidity for real-world assets and create brand new digital assets that will flow freely across our network of on-chain applications, information markets, and mining farms. And thanks to cross-chain bridges to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and other top blockchains, our digital assets will interoperate with the blockchain universe for endless possibilities. Join our global community of pioneers and help shape the future decentralized economy. Welcome to IoTeX.